Order at 7:01 p.m. This is a work session meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, January 4th, 2014. I ask everyone to please rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Delmedi.
Here.
Councilmember Giusti.
Here.
Costa.
Here.
D'Amato.
Here.
Delavetto.
Here.
Hudson. Here. Sandemeyer.
Here. Thank you. Also with us are municipal clerk Jean McCarthy and from our borough attorney Dorsey Semrau, is Fred Semrau and Jeff Pace. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. This is a work session meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale. And on December 11th, the date and time official meeting was posted in the Borough Hall, faxed to all local news media. There is no need at this time for early executive session. There is one non-agenda item, which I list in case any public wishes to speak to it. I will speak to the council about the status of our DEP infrastructure loan that we were awarded $1 million. I want to talk in detail, and I'd like to get an authorization to at least go to the bid process, which is no additional cost to us, because the DEP won't release the award letter until we at least have a bid date. So I'll go into more into that. So that'll be a DEP infrastructure loan, a non-agenda item that came up today. What I'll do before I open the early public comment, we do have a very special presentation this evening, and I will just step over the dais for a moment. I'd like to ask our environmental chairman, Frank O'Reilly, if he would join me up here, and former Councilwoman Linda Shortman, if he would join me here while we present today's presentation. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you both for joining me. Tonight we're here to honor a very special woman, Mrs. Geraldine DeLazier, who has served our borough for many, many years, particularly close to 17 years on the Bloomingdale Environmental Commission. And she has, due to her busy schedule and I'm sure all her activities, has chose to resign from the Bloomingdale Environmental Commission. And it was just so imperative that we honor Mrs. DeLazier for all her years of service. So before I say a few more words, I ask Mrs. DeLazier if you would please come up and join us. How are you tonight?
Okay.
Good. I'm going to move over a little bit. Again,
Spatial audience.
first, thank you for coming this evening, and more importantly, Mrs. DeLazier, thank you for all your years of service to the borough, whether it would be 17 years on the Environmental Commission, or as a strong resident, always standing up for the issues you believed in, always attending meetings, whether it be planning board or council, just being a strong voice for the borough of Bloomingdale. You know, all your years of living here, which are how many? Have you lived in the borough?
94.
94 years.
Well, 1 year and a half.
1 year and a half.
Depression time, we moved a lot.
Well, again, on behalf of the governing body and all the residents of Bloomingdale, we thank you for all your service. The only excitement is on the rock. I'm good. We're better. Frank's like a pacemaker. So again, Mrs. DeLazier, we thank you, and I certainly would consider you one of the first ladies of Bloomingdale for all your years of service. Before I present you the plaque, we do have with us our Environmental Commission Chairman, Frank O'Reilly, who you've served with for many years, and Councilwoman Linda Shortman, if you both would like to say a few words before I present the honor.
Sure. I would just like to say that it's been a privilege on my part and on the Environmental Commission working with Mrs. DeLazier. She's been an asset to the Commission in every way imaginable. She has a rich history of the borough that she's aware of and has enlightened us many times as to the history of the borough. So we thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you. Linda?
I guess I've been the liaison to the Environmental Commission the 3 years I was on the council, and it was most enjoyable again to see Jerry. Jerry and I met about 35 years ago on a town-wide issue, and we became very good friends of both Jerry and Bob's. And it's wonderful to have people who do have such a history and knowledge of the town that they're so willing to share with us and to keep the spirit of volunteering alive, as Jerry has done. It's magnificent, and I'm so honored to call her a friend.
Yes, thank you. And before I present, we do have a lot of your friends here who have served with you. We have Mrs. Vi Shipley, who served on the environmental, John Capazuca, a former environmental commissioner, Councilwoman Linda Huntley, who served as councilwoman while you were on that board, Mr. Dick Duhame, who probably served at one point when Jerry was here. If anyone wishes to add you these wonderful words, I'd appreciate that if you have anything to say. You guys? Yes, John?
I just want to say that Jerry, don't underestimate Jerry. She may be diminutive in size. Always respectful. A lot of people might not know that all the meetings to save the wall tract were held at Jerry's living room and kitchen. And I hope you're proud of yourself every time you look out your window and see that 35 acres that you were instrumental in preserving. I also want to say that when we worked on preserving the Baker Fire Zone tract on Union Avenue years ago, Jesse Traynor spoke. He was 17 years old at the time. I spoke. And the bureaucrats at the dais were all like in a daze. Then Jerry got up and she started speaking. And Jerry speaks very softly and smoothly. And before you knew it, they were all captivated, eating birdseed out of your hand.
I thought you were going to say they were all asleep.
No, but Jerry, so proud and honored to know you, and a privilege to serve this town with you. And I'm so proud of all your accomplishments. I hope you are too.
Yeah, we all are. Thank you, John. Does anyone else wish to say a few words before I present? Okay. So presented to Geraldine DeLager in proud recognition of your inspirational acts of good citizenship in serving the needs as a longtime member of the Bloomingdale Environmental Commission for the Borough of Bloomingdale and her residents. We thank you from myself, the mayor, and the governing body, and present it to you on behalf of all the citizens of Bloomingdale this February 4th, 2014. So thank you, Mrs. DeLager. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes.
Steve.
Come on, Jerry.
What? Can I say? I just feel like this is unusual. Because people come and go on environmental commission.
You hold the record.
And Mrs. Duhame appointed me.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how many years ago that was.
Oh, 2 or 3, something.
And I've enjoyed doing it, and I thought it was about time I stepped aside before they pushed me out.
Well, that would never happen. You're more than welcome to come back. And I know one of your favorite subjects, the Rose Fund meeting is Thursday, if you'd like to attend.
Yes, I don't always agree with you.
Well, we don't always agree, which is healthy, which is absolutely healthy. So again, we thank you for all your years, and I know you'll be a big part of the community and raise your voice when you feel it's necessary. So we thank you, we all thank you, and again, one more round of applause.
Jerry, I'm still going to send you documents to prove it. Even though you're retired.
Okay.
I did fail to mention that Mrs. DeLager still uses a typewriter when she types her letters,
You
correct?
wouldn't believe what I went through to write that
The resignation letter?
I thought I'll type it. I've got this part of the typewriter. It was, I don't know what kind of typewriter you call it, something. And I typed it. And I had it all finished when I had years started. And I went right up to this thing. So I just typed it over. The thing ran out of the ribbon. Ran out. And so I went to Staples, and I think it was $18 for And I don't know whether I should spend that. And I didn't. I came home and wrote it.
So instead of a plaque, we should have got your typewriter, really. Moral of the story. Thank you, Mrs. Delaney. And thank you, everyone else who spoke. It was here. Okay, now I need a motion to open to early public comment. Anyone, all in favor? Any motion to speak to an agenda item, please come on up and state your name and address for the record.
Just a question, process question. After we discussed the $1 million awarded loan from the
DEP, Department of Environmental Protection.
can I have the opportunity to speak with everybody, or have to wait for the session?
No, we'll have late public.
I'm sorry?
We'll have late public.
Okay.
I mean, if action's going to be taken, I'll give you the opportunity.
I missed
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
I'm here about the agreement with Borough of Butler for the water supply,
Yes.
and I'm just questioning why you go into a 15-year contract.
Again, 15-year contract does have a provision that we could get out with 1 year's notice. That is a standard utility agreement contract for water. Term we have for 30 years with State Valley. That is the term that we enter into. And again, it locks our rate pretty well for the length of the agreement. State Valley.
See what they would do, if they would reduce the rates or meet the rates that Butler was going to be providing?
Well, they are a public utility, with the Public Utility Board, Board of Commissioners, who sets their annual budget. It's not specific to any town. Their rates for wholesale water are their rates, and they're not going to cut Bloomingdale a different deal than they would Nutley or Clifton or any other town. So prior to canceling that contract or giving notice, 12-month notice, we attended at Rockland, the superintendent attended a meeting where they put out their 5-year plan, and their rates will be going up 25% over the next 5 years. In stone, there's no negotiating. And again, we are entering the first year 25% less for wholesale water, the cost for wholesale water, than what we will be paying in 15. And over a 10-year period, the rate would be 50% increase with the State Valley, where it will be a 9% increase under our new contract over the same 10 years. So it's definitely a cost-saving measure that the borough has chosen to do.
Now, I know that you said that nobody has complained about the water. I think there's a lot of reasons why people did not complain. The new was temporary. I personally did notice a difference because I knew I paid my coffee, but it tastes crap. And I realized what's going on, so I used bottled water.
And when was that?
That was when you had when you changed it, and I didn't know you did it, so I put it on the water, my coffee tastes terrible.
And when did your coffee taste
It
terrible?
was a while ago, when you were in the summertime, maybe it wasn't the painting of the...
Well, we were on bottled water for 3 months during that period of time, and the borough did not receive one complaint. I have received numerous emails from people who've lived here for many years. One gentleman emailed me and said, back in 1965, it was this, and that's 50 years ago. And Butler has invested in their infrastructure and their filtration systems and water plant is state-of-the-art, as is the St. Val's. So I'm quite confident that the quality will be the same or better. The interesting thing too is we, being that Butler supplies less, people who would just be us and them, the other concern that a resident had was there was more drought restrictions 50 years ago. And the irony is today, we would have potential more drought restrictions because of the volume of people that State Valley serves. To give an example, Butler had to actually give allowance of water for Avalon Bay. State Valley didn't even have the capacity to provide Avalon Bay. So I'm confident, so is the governing body, that this is absolutely the right decision for the borough. And again, if we enter into it, there are quality issues. Of course, that's something we can deal with and opt out, but I'm confident that's not going to be ever the direction we have to go. And the goal, again, is the savings is direct relief for our users. True. Thank you. Anyone else? Agenda items?
Is this
You can speak to anything you like. You're special. You're a special type.
Is this the water, where do we get our water now?
Right now, we get our water from Safe Valley Water Commission.
Is that Wanacue?
The actual source is from Wanacue Reservoir.
Because my husband was on the council when they changed
Okay.
to them. And everybody, this Butler water was terrible. And so, again, I moved.
Right. And again, all I can say is that was 30 years ago, and they invested in their own infrastructure. Butler's facility, because of the DEP regulations on clean drinking water, their facility is exactly the same procedure and process that Snake Valley would do too. So there should be no difference. I know it's best. Right. Get your bottle of water. Thanks. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Frank O'Reilly, 21 Coast Street. My understanding is that the Passaic Valley Water Authority can pull water from the Passaic River in times of need. Yes, it's just downstream from some of the sewage plants that they have there, which I think is a negative. The other thing I wanted to ask is, Butler Reservoir gets its water from where? It's naturally fed by streams? The Butler Reservoir. Where is it at? Where is the entry point coming from?
I mean, it's fed by streams and reservoirs in the highlands above their current situation. I don't know the exact names of the reservoirs.
So in comparison to the two, there's no chance that they're going to actually pump sewage into the Butler Reservoir like they would for the, say, river in times of best.
Absolutely not.
And the other question I would have is, at some point, if Bloomingdale wanted to go back to the Passaic River Valley, could we be possibly locked out because we moved away from them?
Again, there's no guarantee. I can't predict 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. You would hope they would always be looking for customers to maintain their own rate, but they have their own capacity issues at this point, so it's impossible to answer that question. I would hope the answer would be no, we would not be locked out, but I can't.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
All right.
We're actually open to reapply. If they don't have the capacity, it'll have to be a different situation.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. And to your point about drought restriction, if the state ordered a drought restriction, that would apply to any drinking system you have, whether it be Snake Valley, Butler, it would be statewide. So, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the agenda item? Seeing no one, motion to close. Thank you. Professional reports, Jane, do you have any, or reports, do you have anything, Jane?
Just, Mr. Mayor, this will be on the website that the Passaic County Clerk's Office will be here the third Thursday of each month from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for passport services, notary registration, renewals, and free ID cards for veterans. That will be on the website.
Thank you. Fred, do you have anything?
Just briefly, Mayor, we filed the foreclosures to go through that procedure, so that the property will have hopefully clear title to transfer. We did receive a check for the administration of Flores for $3,000. We contacted the DEP at your direction to continue to work on addressing the open space inventory and all the pieces and gaps. And with respect to Avalon Bay, yourself and Councilman Yasti, to make sure we've nailed down the amount of payment for this year for the agreement. And even though it's a transition year, often in the pilot agreements, it calls for no payment in the first year. We've already with Avalon Bay that the payment would be at least $375,000 for the agreement for not the county council.
At a minimum, right? And it could be more.
Right. That's my point.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any council member have anything from committee or liaison?
Yes, on the record, we're looking to start a men's softball league this year. They approved it, direction from the last meeting they had. It'll start sometime beginning of April and run through June. I want to try to go a little league, maybe two nights a week to look at it.
Great.
So any interested parties out there?
Absolutely. Jane and I did some homework on this. Years ago, because every time we added a program or raised the fee, we would always have to reintroduce the ordinance. So we did a blanket, $0 to $250. So when we added a new program, we didn't have to do that. And also, we simply have to add it by resolution. So we do not have to introduce and a little bit of reading time on introduction and adoption of the ordinance. That said, I'd ask if you would have the rec president just email me something that has been approved.
Yep.
So I have it written in hard copy, and then on the 18th, we'll adopt that resolution to add that program. I also asked Councilman Tomato, just early, like tomorrow, communicate with Tribal Little League for field use, just so it works out. Okay?
I think Brian has already contacted the president of the department.
Okay, just that's an important part, because you had said 2 nights both fields at Walton T could be a little crunch time. We can hopefully make it work with enough planning. Okay, thank you very much, Mike.
The other thing I noticed too is the Trends is still posting the rec meeting as the first Monday of the month, and it hasn't been that for last year. Talk to Gail, he has all the dates. So I think it's the third Monday now. They changed that last year.
Well, I'll email Gail to make sure we update that. And those are that's in the section of the Trend that Gail submits for registration and classes and things like that.
No, it's in the very first page you open up and it has all the what events.
That's something
there's a rec in there.
It's on the website.
It's on the website that way? Okay, so we'll amend it. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other meeting report? Yes.
I have a couple things. First of all, for the Jordan Lines, I was at William Patterson last Thursday for a training seminar for parents who host, which is an effort going on to raise awareness about parents who host parties where underage drinking is allowed in some fashion or another, to impress upon parents the severity of the issue there. I had to step out a little early for another meeting, but it's very informative, and I'm looking forward to that program going forward. I have a lot of ideas on how to present that to the community. The Board of Education meeting that was scheduled for last night was canceled due to the weather. It has been rescheduled for this coming Friday, and it's going to be a combined meeting. They are going to be canceling their next meeting, which I believe was so it's just going to be one meeting for them this month. We just got it.
Anyone else? Thank you, everyone. Next item, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, including various minutes as posted, and also membership to the Lookalike Company for Uriah Creedus, and moved by Councilwoman Hudson. Do I have a second? Second. To consent agenda? Even though we have what is that? Okay. I'll add that. Okay. Any other discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. There is no pending business at this time. We have introduction of new business. I need a motion to approve Resolution 2014 2.1, transfer resolution. Who makes that motion? So moved. Okay, we can see they are transfer. I'm sorry, we have a second in the. Okay. From salary wages with dispatching from our natural gas line, transfer to police OE for repair on a police car, and utility salary wages to bulk water, ironically, what we're referring to. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Dela Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
A motion for resolution 2014 2.2. This is granting paid approved sick leave for a police department employee. Who makes that motion? So moved.
Second.
And any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers D'Amato.
Yes.
Dela Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes. Item C, March 14th is the deadline for the Passaic County Open Space Grant application. This is the source of funding where we received, what happened last year, we received restoration of the Glacier Field, concrete grandstands, Walter Urban restrooms that should be beginning when the weather breaks. And March 14th is the deadline. At our last meeting, I put it out there. And I want to know, I've had a feedback from the governing body. My recommendation is we apply, because we were not successful in funding a Green Acres track, that we apply for a walking track to pretty much complete the Walter T. Bergen project. I also suggested we could consider applying for additional funding for the leisure, but I don't know by that deadline if we'll need additional funding. We're about to bid on the leisure, and hopefully our funding source is sufficient. If it isn't, we can ask the county to roll our application or consider it next year, but we need to make a decision. So we have time to prepare an application. I have time to prepare an application by the 14th. Does any council member have another recommendation or support what I'm suggesting on the walking track?
I talked to the rec commission, as you asked me to,
Yes.
and they also thought about their walking track. They also came up with the dog park at Open Lake. And somewhere in the past, one of the members mentioned the dock was supposed to go in an Open
It
Lake.
is. There's still funding in the whole bond for the dock, but we kind of ran into a delay with the DEP on that Oakwood Park project. The permits, which took 5 years to get, expired. So before we could do any more work, we had to file wetland transition documents again. So there is funding still in that original Oakwood, about $10,000 for that dock. So that's there. The dog park, I support that if we found the right location, although I think a walking track would serve more than that. Personal opinion. So, it's up to you guys. Maybe if we don't want to decide tonight, we have the 18th, which is cutting a little close to prepare the application, but I can still get it done.
I support the walking track, 10 years in the making, it's about time we move on.
Is that your motion?
Absolutely.
Is there a second to apply for the walking track at Walter T. Bergen? Second. Is there any further discussion?
I just think it'd be a great asset for everybody to be able to have recreation, so anybody that wants to walk.
If you, any night of the week, you go to Butler High School track, which is incredibly used, and I'm hoping that's the same.
And that would complete that project?
It would.
And I know the schools are very interested in having characters.
Would you like to walk down in total?
Excuse me?
Is that like the
It
track down?
depends on funding. I'd like it to be like a real high school rubber-based track, but,
Like an oval, or are you talking a walk?
well, it's not, you can get a quarter mile, but it's perfectly open, because around the tennis court, come into center field, and left field is a big baseball field, and then wrap in the restrooms. But center macadam path would actually be part of the, whatever the material is.
I don't want to take it down, a little PAL, they have a track that goes, it's like a walking path, they have different stations, circuit train station.
Right, that's something that can be added, circuit trade, yep. But I guess the first would be funding, the county usually funds us between $80,000 to $120,000, I think. I still think that's, close enough to, just to keep track. All right, so any further discussion? Okay, roll call on the change.
Councilmembers Del Rippe?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
Yasti?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato?
Thank you. Item D, I need a motion to approve resolution 2014 2.3, approving the agreement with the Borough of Butler for water supply to begin April 1st, 2015. The terms you've all been copied on. It's a 15-year contract, and it's a substantial savings, 25% first year, and over 41% over a 10-year period on our water supply. Who makes that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? And again, just so everyone knows, this will, part of the plan has already been in place before we formally have done this, to repair the interconnects in Sloan Park as part of the flood mitigation project to get the interconnects outside the park, which will be on the Butler side. You need a good 20 by 20 infrastructure, which we really don't have the room on Main Street for. And whether you're removing water there or not, you need to repair this infrastructure. So it all ties in nicely.
How does Butler access those if they're on the other side?
They have a utility easement on that side, for the lines that exist already. So they'll have access to it. Okay, roll call.
Councilmembers Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
Yasti?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato?
Yes.
Del Rippe?
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion for resolution 2014 2.4, supporting Assembly Bill 4464, Michelle's Law, and Assembly Bill 4461, fines for distracted driving behavior. I received a notice from the father of the individual who this legislation was placed after, asking us to support what it does. Under the Michelle's Law, it requires mandatory alcohol and drug testing for any motor vehicle accident resulting in death, and substantial penalties if an individual declines such. Tragically, this gentleman's daughter was killed in an accident, and I don't believe justice was appropriately done. The second part is the fines for distracting driving behavior. We already have we're amending the bill that prohibits the use of handheld wired phones while operating on a vehicle. And this will actually strengthen it by simply adding the driver holding the cell phone near their ear is committing a violation. So I ask you to support that. And I need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes.
Okay, item F, introduction to bond ordinance 1/2014, drafting road phase 2 project. Now you'll notice this bond amount is 1.6 million. This includes phase 1 and 2. We are amending the original bond ordinance to include phase 2, which again is including $250,000 in DOT funding, approximately $205,000 in assessment fees for phase 2, which we have a meeting on the 18th with the residents to explain the process I did previously. And as you all recall, the bids on phase 1 came in 20% less than projected, so assessment will be almost half of that.
I think I had a hole in my stomach.
Hope to move forward late in spring on the whole phase, we have actually entirely done. So we are just introducing bond ordinance 1/2014, which includes phase 1 and 2. Who makes that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Was that savings brought into this total number here?
I'm sorry?
The 30% or 25% savings on the resident side, is that factored into the 1.6 million?
In the engineer's numbers of the assessment dollar amounts, yes. It is. The assessment amounts are just referencing the bond council, what our debt is offset by, the grants and the assessment portion. But at the end of the day, it's an assessment project, so we'll have an assessment committee, once the job's done, fine-tune that exact number and assess the users of the project area. I received a few phone calls from people in phase 2, like last time, just inquiries, and I believe once they're educated, like we did in phase 1, it will be a process people will understand. And so far, the calls I got were the ones where I just did my sidewalks. Shouldn't expect them to inspect them. Many people in phase 1 that are not going to be part of the assessment because their sidewalks should be done. So I look forward to the 18th meeting to continue educating the color about that. Any further discussion? And a roll call, please.
Mr. Rippe, second and final for February 18th.
Yes, can we, there's a time? I'd like to have a presentation with the people before we adopt. If I say 7, we'll go at 8. It's not
7 p.m. or soon thereafter.
okay. That's fine. So I want to have our presentation before we shut. Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
And that'll be bond ordinance of Borough of Bloomingdale, County of Passaic, New Jersey, amending in its entirety bond ordinance number 17-2013, finally adopted May 14, 2014.
Thank you. Item G, with regret, I need a motion to accept resignation of Robert Whittier, our dispatch, Plymouth Borough for 10 years, due to retire May 31st, 2014. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
Comment with my other hat that I used to wear. He's a professional, he does a great job. We're losing a great asset to the dispatch side of the police station, fire department, emergency side of it. He'll be missed.
Yeah, Woody is, like you said, just a great asset to the borough and quite dedicated employee dispatch. So, roll call, please.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Item H, authorization to submit community development block grant. Deadline March 14th. As I stated at the last meeting, I'm going to ask the council to resubmit our 2013 application for Ryerson Ave. We were not funded last year because the pot of money was quite low, and a lot of it went to Blue Acres and Storm Sandy purchases and buyouts and Sandy infrastructure issues. This was for Ryerson Ave. This is for replacement of the 8-inch sewer main, its laterals, repaving, engineering permit surveys and all. It was $282,000. We submit the application. Normally we're funded with $80,000 to $100,000. We can see what we are funded and then make a decision on the extent we want to bring this project, the entire road portion thereof. In the past, we received community block money, and it's been bounced from place to place. And the last one we actually spent money on was Canyon Street curb beside it. So, I asked the council for a motion to approve so I can prepare that application for the CDBG grant deadline March 14th. We were applying for Ryerson Ave. Anyone like that motion? Any further discussion? Okay, and these grants are based on a lot of information that we already had on file from prior grants. We have low and moderate income areas, which are limited, so we can't apply for this money everywhere in town. It's just certain areas and a lot of below Main Street is what applies.
Would there be any changes that would make it more likely to be approved this year, or?
Other than their own funding source, we didn't have
I mean, we can't like reduce the scope or anything?
No, it wasn't that. Devin Hoffman, who's in charge, the director of it, said it was just, they didn't have the funds to provide small town law. A lot of it went to Sandy issues. Okay? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Demotta.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
You know, I mentioned, Jane's on the ball here, I mentioned, you always are. I mentioned the DEP infrastructure loan as not agenda, but it was listed on the agenda. So my apologies there. So before we talk about that, because that could be a little, right, a little conversation that Mr. Miller may want to speak to, and that's fine with me. There's one thing that Jane did not have.
I wasn't on call.
I need a motion to accept the resignation of Jerry DeLazier from the environmental commission. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion other than the praise we've given, and we thank her again. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Demotta.
Okay, discussion on infrastructure loan. Last year, we applied in January, February-ish for a $1 million nano loan through the Department of Environmental Protection through their clean drinking water funding sources. And we applied for a 50% principal forgiveness loan. Just for the record, Fred, have a great evening. Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you. We'll take it easy on Jeff, I promise. Just for the record, what we were awarded was the amount of $1 million funding, but the DEP did not classify our project as a top priority funding source. And I'm still waiting from them to find out what dictates a priority list. So when you look at the award list, it's some interesting. We weren't just getting $50 million to put a cover on a reservoir. There's some interesting awards given out. What we were awarded was $1 million, 0% interest on the first 75% of the loan, and 25% of market value on the balance 25% of the loan, which is about 0.07% on 25%. So 0% on the first 75. I just emailed the governing body the pro forma that I just got from the DEP, showing you the numbers. It's approximately a $20,000 annual repayment for 20 years with the interest calculated. You got to look at the pro forma. What I'm asking tonight is not a commitment to spend the money. It's a commitment to go out to bid, because the DEP, and I'll read you the email from project manager, when Bloomingdale Borough is planning to advertise the project, once I will get that date, I will approve the project for funding. I mean, I will issue an authorization to advertise letter for the project. After the borough can advertise the project, after opening the bids, borough has to submit documents requesting the award of the project. If the submitted documents are completed and acceptable, NJDEP will issue an authorization to award them. Now, we've already paid to design, this is for 5 roads in the flats. We applied, and I don't have all of you remember a few years ago, Councilman Chipton held a 2-inch pipe from a poplar and the condition of, and we decided to dedicate this thought to flats where there's waterline issues. I believe it's poplar, walnut, oak street, chestnut, and so on. Right, which is a full waterline replacement, all the laterals to curb. First Street, yes, looping First Street is there and there. Total 5 roads, we have full repaving in the moment. So what I need from the governing body is permission to allow me to bid this. I don't want to do it without your blessing. And we will bid it and see what the numbers come in. Our engineer's confident it'll be less than the award. And then we can go to the DEP with it, and finally, if they approve it, come back to you with a vote to proceed. So you're not proceeding to spend money, you're proceeding to go out to bid, because they will not send an award letter until we have a bid date. So with your permission, I will have our engineer tomorrow set a bid date and get the ball rolling for that process. I don't know if anyone got time to look at the performa. It is a really good deal, over the long term. We couldn't bond it for less than that.
And those 5 roads come in under $1 million total?
Our design does $985. Yeah. Including engineering, everything, soup to nuts. And then again, if anybody wants to do less, but again, it's one of those things where you have this opportunity, you take it all, you do partial, you can make a decision later. I need to get an award letter to even proceed. They work direct with our bond counsel. We don't bond anything, but they work direct with our, because there's a process, you have to go to local finance, like you would with Green Acres. It's a great analogy where it's not normal funding, it's a direct loan from the DEP. So you just have to get approval from the DCA, and they say they do not consent agenda, so that doesn't take long. But all I'm looking for tonight, before I ask for a motion, is again authorization to go out to bid. Now, I'm fine because Mr. Miller asked, might have questions, so rather than wait, because we can engage in conversation.
Yeah, no, I just...
You just come up, say your name and address for the record.
Al Miller, 7 Mary Street.
Yeah, I'll give you the opportunity to speak to this issue.
Yeah, no, that's the question.
There'll be more opportunity to speak as we go on.
Somebody comes with you for a low interest, $1 million loan. I just think it's kind of crazy that we kind of have to find something what to spend it on.
Oh, no, we don't. We knew a year ago. We designed 5 roads that
I sit here, I look at the $1.6 million for the road fund, another $1 million we're going to spend now for the water lines. Again, I'm not saying that it's not needed. I mean, I thought we had some long-term plans here. I mean, my big question is, we're winding down the end of 2013. How do we look with the 2014 budget? I mean, have we reduced any of our debt? Are taxes going to go down? I don't see anything to spend.
We were talking about this loan application?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. It all ties together. To me, somebody comes with $1 million, yeah, it's low interest.
Let me back you up a little bit.
$20,000 a month.
$1.6 million bond for the entire complete reconstruction of Grafton Road.
What is it?
Of which the borough obligation on that is approximately 500 and change, because you have assessment and grants.
We have to
let me finish. So what? But it is a plan. So don't stand there and say we don't have a plan.
Well, I'm just concerned overall what happens to my taxes.
Let me finish, please, because what you're saying...
That's what I'm concerned about.
What you're saying is don't do it.
No. I said don't do it on the $1 million DEP. I didn't say...
That's the second thing.
I had an overall concern about $1.6 million of the debt.
Okay.
And then I was also talking about another $1 million
to the utility,
DEP
0%
for water lines.
Not 75%.
Yes. You still pay it, Sean.
It's a plan.
You still pay so much a month.
It's a plan.
Yes.
It's a plan. What is your recommendation?
What is my what?
Your recommendation. You say we don't...
I thought we had...
I proved to you we have a plan.
Here's my plan, okay?
Yeah.
I just read an article, okay, that there's 33 towns that have the highest taxes in New Jersey.
Tax burden, go ahead.
Yeah. You know where we are in Bloomingdale?
22.
No, we're 11.
Do you know what tax... No.
Yeah, well, the article I read said we're 11.
It was 22.
Okay?
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm just talking about overall taxes. I mean, I'd like to know. I don't know.
Again, you're all subject, but I'll continue because I'm going to enjoy this. It's tax burden, not tax rate. And the tax burden, listen to me, is the tax rate as it compares to residents' income. Correct. Still not a great thing, don't get me wrong.
It's not a good thing.
Studies from
You got
2000.
people here that are, you got blue collar workers, you got retirees, you got people now that have kids who are reaching the age to go to college.
The studies that,
So what are we gonna do? I mean, if I had kids, my kids are all grown. If I had to pay $80,000, $90,000 to send a kid to college, that's a big burden.
I got three.
When are we getting something back? That's my problem.
The study on the tax burden article data was from 2008.
Yes.
Okay. You know, Rich, you did a lot of research on that.
Yes.
You know, as far as
Okay.
the 11 criteria made to
Give or
use.
take a few numbers up and down, so tell me, Rich, our taxes aren't high here? We don't have one of the highest taxes in the state of New Jersey? Tell me we don't.
No one said we do not have high taxes.
We do have high taxes.
Yeah, we do have high taxes.
We're not the 27th highest in the state.
Particularly high on that list was the fact that in 2008, if I recall correctly, because I don't have my notes here with me, I was expecting this comment, was that we were, things like our county taxes were 140% of state average. Our state aid to the municipality was 60% of state average.
Which is probably low.
Right, and
Yes.
our state aid for school board was 40% of state average. So, you know, it was all keying into, and while I say, you know, obviously our taxes are high,
Yes.
it is, a lot of it is a revenue problem. We're not getting back from the state.
But the big point is, I'm not
Yes.
saying you're wrong, the numbers are probably right. The problem is you have a lot of people that live in this town that are on fixed income, okay? You got, I understand the importance of the recreation fields, I mean, I understand.
Wait. What are we talking about? We're talking
No,
about
I'm talking overall, John, okay? If you want me to sit down, I'll get back up for an open comments, okay? I can do
But
that.
I asked you, what is your plan, and you referenced a tax burden.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, look, you know what, the people have water, I mean, I don't know how much of a problem the water line is, I don't live down there. I'm just saying that, you know, can you come up with a longer term plan? I mean, here we are, we were talking Avalon Bay, I've heard Avalon Bay for 2 years, $375,000 we're gonna get in revenue.
In 2014.
Okay, well, I'm worried about 2014 budget. My next question is, we talk back here reducing debt. How much debt from the beginning of 2013 to the beginning of 2014? How much debt have we reduced? Now, I don't want short term, I don't want pending bonding, I want regular numbers. How much have we reduced our debt? When's the budget coming out? Month? When's the budget coming out?
We'll introduce middle of March.
Okay, so it's February. Just basic questions. I pay taxes. I pay my taxes today. They're annoying me very much. I pay $3,000. It kills me.
Mr. Miller get up to speak about
I know.
I'll sit back down. I'll get back up.
or is he get up here to speak
No,
about
go ahead.
all
Close
the
it out.
other issues?
I'll get back up. You know what, Ray? I'll get back up when the time is.
Please do, but let's
Okay. You know what?
concentrate on what's...
Answer my questions and don't blow smoke, okay? That's what I'm tired
I
of.
don't have a problem with you doing that, but
No, you know what, John? Close this out.
we'll
I
conclude this.
spoke my what I wanted
They
to
come
say.
and you can speak to it.
I'll stand back up, public comment.
But I'd ask you, when you do that,
Yes.
that you give myself or anyone in the governing body an opportunity to speak.
I'll let you
You tend to
Go ahead.
speak over me when we were just having a little conversation.
John, you do that too. So
And I-
don't sit here and say it doesn't happen.
I
and
see,
keep
I
it
see.
alone, okay?
Al,
Go ahead.
I see where we're going.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, it's a good thing for Bloomingdale to have a 0% interest loan for utility work that is needed. It's not something you just pull out of thin air and say, hey, let's go spend $1 million on something not needed. It's proven that it's needed, particularly for these 5 roads. And there's more. So this is a plan, this is a good plan, and this is the beginning of a larger plan. Does anyone have questions? Because I do want a motion to allow authorization to bid so that I can get a DEP to continue the process.
I'll make the motion to absolutely...
Simply advertise the bid.
Second.
Ready for the discussion?
Yeah, just to give a little background, a couple of years ago, I attended an infrastructure class to just learn about, you know, what is infrastructure, how much should we pay attention to infrastructure that's out there underneath our roads. Should we pay attention to it? Should we just leave it for the next governing body to worry about it? You know, should we just worry about it until it breaks, and then we go fix it? But they went on, you know, they covered a bunch of, you know, they talked about bridges in the state, on how bad of shape they are. They talked about our water utility infrastructure, and how that's going to blow up to be the biggest expense that's us as taxpayers and as ratepayers have to deal with it and need to maintain in order to not have it blow up all at once. And at the end of the meeting, there was a gentleman there from the DEP Finance Division, and he talked about many different programs that DEP is offering, including the nano loan. And the nano comes from the fact that it's open to any municipality with less than 8,000 residents. Okay, so we qualify. And he mentioned that up to $1 million a year was going to be provided for loans of this sort. That's $1 million for the entire state. Okay, so as many times as they put in, so they may award 250,000, 100,000 here and there, and up to 4 years was funded. And it would take a year and a half. You would apply for it. They review it for a year and a half before they reply to you. And we went through the process, and it's gotten us to this point. We didn't qualify for the 50% forgiveness. Okay, so DEP doesn't give out grants. What they do give out is these loans, and then they forgive half the principal, which is kind of like giving a grant. Okay, we didn't qualify for that, but what they did qualify this project for is the 0%, 75% of the entire loan, whatever amount we decide, can be at 0% interest. Okay, so the question really up here is really not about the loan. It's more about, we have infrastructure problems. We know about the problems. All the streets that John mentioned, or that are under this, are streets that have 2-inch lines, from what I understand, and we have spent thousands of dollars fixing the brakes on those 2-inch lines. Okay, we can replace sections of a foot long each time they break, or we can go fix them for once and be, break free for 50, 60, 70 years. Unfortunately, it costs money to do these things, and that's the biggest expense that this governing body has to deal with, our infrastructure and renewing it. And those lines sitting out there, they're not getting any younger. They're not going to fix themselves. They're just going to get worse and worse. And, I got on the governing body day one. I said, every time we open up a road, why don't we dig down and go down and, replace all the old and put in new? And unfortunately, after 2 years, I'm learning that it costs a lot of money to replace infrastructure. It costs $1 million to replace the one line that we were discussing on Rafkin Road. It's a big, big expense, and we do have to deal with it, or all we're doing is passing the buck down the road for it to blow up on someone else's time. And they have to fix it. Then we're going to do emergencies, and the 0% won't be available. You have to pay market rates. Who knows where the market rates are going to go? Right now, it's one of the lowest interest rate markets we've had historically. So, to your point, Mayor, if the total loan comes out to 0.7% compared to having to pay it back at 4 or 5%, I did a quick calculation. If we had to pay it back at 2.5% compared to paying it back at 0.75 over the course of 20 years, it's a $240,000 savings if we took advantage of a 0.7% loan in comparison to paying it on market rates. And that was only at 2% higher.
How much is that a year, total for a year? The repayment?
Yeah, it's about $20,000 a year if you do the average.
I'll email you the performance.
No, I just, what, John, I'll wait until public comment.
That's fine. But I'll email you the performer, or before you go tonight, I can appreciate the performer on it. And just to raise point, we have a motion on the table. Again, no one's a fan of spending more money, but when there's the need and you can counter offer with revenue without increasing users' fees, we will achieve that. Avalon Bay alone, not counting the fees that built up surplus and all, just new annual forevermore fees are going to be $160,000 with just new user fees for being on our.
And that's for who? Avalon Bay?
Yeah, bringing that much.
So that raises us to what? What do we get? We get $375 for 2014. And do we get another on top of that, the user fee?
So I guess the point was...
No, I'm asking a question.
My point was, the 375
Sure.
goes towards taxes, that's tax.
Right.
The 160 I just referred to is utility fees for every year forevermore.
Right.
That will go into our utility.
Right. And I understand that.
And then, with the
Right.
change
Follow.
to water in Butler, the savings is approximately $180,000 annually, savings. Okay, where you're gonna have over $350,000 in savings to the borough, where you can now finally make an investment into infrastructure and at the same time reduce debt in the utility. So that's our goal. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion amongst the council?
If I remember correctly, we had a water main break down in the flats.
Yes.
And a piece of that pipe in Rocker boiled up.
They actually mentioned, we had it at the council.
It actually went out. And it was galvanized pipe, 2-inch pipe, with that was reduced to 1 inch because sediment built up and all that stuff. And that's where these streets all started before we were going.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to follow a process to get, you know.
John, I'm not disagreeing with...
And for fire protection,
I'm not disagreeing
let me
with
get this, excuse me. Late public comment, we'll have that conversation. Okay. We have a motion on the table. And for fire protection, it's a nightmare. We don't and it's not just these 5 roads anymore. Okay, any further discussion? Need a roll call, authorized to go to bid.
Councilmembers Hudson. Abstain. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Tomato. Del Rippe.
Yes. And if I may, for the record, Councilwoman Hudson's abstaining. You live on Walnut Street. That was applied for prior to the city. Okay, so that concludes our new business, and I need a motion to open to late public comment. Second. All in favor? All right. Anyone wishing to speak, please come on up. State your name and address for the record.
Al Norris on the Merritt Street. The point is that I do understand the importance of infrastructure and the things we have to do, but I just get the feeling that, you know what, we don't give up anything to do something else, okay? It just seems that it's an open checkbook, and we do everything that we want, okay, including, okay, taking $1 million loan to fix the water main, or water lines down in the flats, okay? I gotta be honest, guys. I see Avalon Bay, I see, you know, write-ups in the paper, we've saved this, salaries, you know what, new jobs, 50,000. I saved $350,000 in employee insurance. I mean, I see all this, and my basic question is, I know I'm, what, 6 weeks early? How do we look in 2014? Are my taxes gonna go down? Did we pay off any debt? That's my basic question. If you can't answer it, then I'll come back when it's time for the budget. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's just that, you know what? Like, we just spend, and we don't give up. If I want, you know what, if I want to put a roof on my house, okay, I gotta wait 2-3 years to buy another car, okay, because I can't afford to do both. I mean, there's no give and take here. Give something back to the people who live here. We need some kind of tax relief. We gotta give something back.
What do you do if your roof and your car crapped out the same day?
Well, then, you know what, then I gotta make it work. And I have to turn around and get another loan. I gotta pay more loan.
Thank you very much.
But thank you very much what?
You're proving the point of...
No, I'm not proving the point, Sean. We just, we don't
It's
know
not, it's not...
spend.
Can I just answer?
Wait.
We got a TV here now. I wasn't here live. What the hell is that for?
That was authorized June 21st.
Oh, yeah, I know. Everything is authorized. You put a new driveway with stone curbing in next to the construction office. Oh, yeah, that was approved. Yeah, great. Everything is approved. We just don't stop. So answer my question. I mean, how do we look at 2014?
Okay, Al, first of all,
Yes.
you ran to sit up amongst us.
You know what?
And let me...
You know what, Ray? Either talk, answer my questions, okay, or don't say nothing.
I'm about to answer your question.
Don't sit here and bust my ass.
We're here.
Because you are. No, John, no, I'm not. You know what? Control these people. That is out of place. That comment is out of place.
It is not
You know
out of
what,
place.
Ray? I've been here for 2 years coming to these meetings. It has nothing to do with the election.
But Al, what I'm trying to explain to you is...
No, Ray, you're breaking my hump. That's what you just did. You broke, oh yeah, I ran to be up here? That's not breaking my hump? What is that?
Right, would you let the man finish?
No, I don't, because that's how this works.
Let him finish.
Go ahead.
What I'm about to tell you is, look, I had the same exact reactions as I'm seeing you down there.
No,
But what you don't realize is, once you get up here, all we authorize, all we do is authorize bills and more bills every single meeting. All we have to worry about is maintaining our roads, paying for salt, so this way our DPW to do it,
I understand.
hire people to do the
I have an
job.
operating budget. I know
Our
what it is to
only
have to
job
pay for
here,
expenses.
our only job
Yes.
here is to serve our residents, and that includes spending money to serve our residents. Ask your, I don't know what relationship you have, the other Mr. Miller that's sitting here. He had a water line broken in front of his house.
Right.
And at the last meeting, we spoke about
Yes.
how he didn't have water, and what an inconvenience that was for
Yes.
him. Okay, we cannot wait for water lines to break, right? Because a 2-inch line becomes a 1/2-inch line over time.
Right,
They
I'm not
have to
saying,
get
I'm not
replaced.
saying don't fix it, okay?
You
My
are
concern
saying
is-
don't
no,
fix
no.
it.
I'm
You-
just saying is,
see, this is what you do,
you
Al.
can't have everything.
You
That's
come
what
up
I'm
here,
trying to say.
you cause
Okay.
commotion, then you go, I'm not saying don't spend money. You just said, don't spend money.
I group a couple things together, Ray, that's what I said, okay?
You group
I have
it,
a
okay,
concern,
don't
I'm a
group it.
taxpayer,
Okay, now.
okay? My taxes are $12,000 a year for a cape, all right? Now, I know there's a lot of issues with revenue and everything else that comes with it. I understand all that. I just got a basic question is, okay, is the whole thing, well, we were gonna reduce that, okay? And the plan was, I think, what is it, you used the word stabilize. Right.
Okay, let's go now to the debt question.
Yes.
Right? Because you asked the question about the water lines and the spending
Well,
on that. And you know
I'm not
what? If
saying
your
don't
water
do it. I'm
line
just saying
broke,
you can't do everything.
you would be for it too. You would be asking us to fix those things. So
Right.
don't sit here
I
and
didn't
say, don't spend it.
Don't do it. I'm just saying.
You're saying don't do it.
I'm saying, you know what? Can we include it in a longer-term plan? Can you stretch it out
That
for
is a
5 or
longer
6
term
years?
plan. Because guess what? That's only 5 streets. How many streets in this town?
Oh, I don't know how the rest of the streets are.
Yeah, a hell of a lot
I'm just saying,
more than
5 or 6. You came up with a road plan, you did roads. I think that was a great idea. I didn't fight it at all. The roads needed to be fixed.
Right.
I'm fine with that. And I agree, John, you gotta have a long-term plan, year over year, to fix the roads.
That's the same thing.
No problem.
Same thing we do with utility infrastructure.
Now the debt.
Answer my, let's talk
Yeah,
about
now
that.
the debt, okay? Before we came up here, at the beginning of 2013, we have $12 million in debt.
Okay,
Last year, we borrowed 0, and we paid off 1.2 million.
okay. So what are
You
we
done
down
the
to
math.
now?
We paid down, that's 10%.
Okay.
We reduced our debt by 10% last
Okay.
year. Okay, how much more this year? The fact that we're getting revenue in allows us to do these things. This was the plan of the pilot, right? Over long haul,
Yes.
pay off our debt and start to relieve taxes. Okay, so when you come up here and you say, what are your plans for doing it? We sat here
I can ask
5
whatever I
meetings.
want. No, I
and
have no
we
way to get all
presented it
these
to you.
facts right. What facts right? Do I sit down and I can open up the budget,
The
discuss the
pilot.
budget?
The facts of the pilot. We went through meeting after meeting after meeting.
I understand all that.
Talking about that
I understand all
because-
their plan. All I'm saying is, look, you should have a mix between both. I understand.
What do you mean mix between? I just
Give
want to understand.
something back, that's all I'm asking. When it comes to tax relief, okay? Instead of fixing all the roads in the flat in 1 year because we got $1 million loan, okay, why don't we just fix it over a course of 5 years? And you know what, don't borrow all the $1 million. I'm just trying to say, what
That's what
can
the
you
council will
do or not do?
But that,
Now,
All right,
this
so
is,
what,
this
how
is
are
where,
my taxes?
You have zero
see, the
percent
question you
taxes.
should be asking is, how much would it cost to fix the entire town's infrastructure problem,
Yes, you can't do that. Nobody can do that all at once.
right? You know, if I told you it's gonna cost $40 or $50 million to do that, then you go, you know what, spending $1 million, it sounds like you're doing it over time.
All I'm saying is, I'm looking for a little give back to the residents who live in the town. So my question is, okay, I understand what your long-term issues are, and I do understand you have to fix those. Now, my other question is, how much, what are we looking at in taxes? Is it good, bad, is it staying the same, is it going up, going down, what is it?
We haven't started the process of looking at it, but I can tell you, having $375,000 more in revenue coming in, it's definitely gonna help.
And surplus.
Okay, but that's gonna help, but let's see what it is.
You're right, you're 6 weeks out.
I'm
Like
6
you
weeks
said.
early.
Now, before you go, I always have to ask
Yes.
the question. I have a cape, so do I. $12,000, so do I.
Yes.
Do you know how much this governing body actually controls of that $12,000?
No, I know 60% is the school, I understand all that. I'm just saying,
And last year, your tax increase was $300, but how much was it physically for his average cape, that rate?
you know what, John?
$25?
I gotta be honest, I'm
So,
not up
that's
for,
the
you know what? I shouldn't say this, but you know what, I can afford it, okay? I just know that elderly people in the town
And do you think
on
we
a
don't,
fixed
let me
income.
ask you a
And you
question.
also have people that are putting kids through college.
Right.
I mean, it's got nothing to do with you guys, but you know, college costs today are like unbelievable.
Do you think we don't?
People have to pay.
I have to ask you a question. Do you think we don't get that?
No, I know you get that. But that's why I'm allowed to come up here and complain to you. John, I'm a resident. I can do that.
And I enjoy it.
I'm being very
But I'm
polite.
gonna come back at you when you say
fine.
things like, you have a plan. This governing body has had more of a plan in the last year and 1 month than the history of this borough. Let me,
Go ahead, I'll let you
please, you're notorious, get it out.
Yeah, I'll finish.
We have a plan on utility, which we've just explained to you. We have a plan on debt reduction. We have a plan on road maintenance. We have a plan on revenue. What more, and believe me, there will be more.
Oh, yeah.
We are bringing the borough a plan, and fulfilling a plan. So
Okay.
when you sit there, it irks me when you say there's no plan. Because I work my tail
I
off
didn't say
creating a
there's no
plan and
plan.
achieving
The only thing I
it. You did
said-
say there's no plan.
I said, you know what, no, well, you come to
You
me.
did say that.
You come to me, yes, I did say that, because all of a sudden there's $1 million loan.
This
And
application,
then all of a sudden, well, you had a plan for that.
this application was
Well, yeah,
last
of course.
January.
Huh?
I talked about this application every month, every meeting last year. I talked about this application.
What, for the DEP?
Absolutely. We applied in
remember that.
January. We applied in January. We spent $90,000 out of surplus money to do the
Right.
design on the plan, okay?
Okay.
We applied for it. Every meeting, I was giving an update. Nothing yet. We should hear by July. We should know this. We should know that. And we finally, I mean, look at the date of this email. It's February 2nd,
Good.
that we were just awarded the money. So
You
don't
are
say
indeed
this just
correct.
popped up.
Okay, and we reduced the debt, and you know what? And the taxes work out, you know what? Then I'm more than happy. Okay? So we'll wait and see what March brings.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Good, good. It's actually with the adoption is the final number.
Okay.
Because budgets can change from introduction to adoption, as you know.
Yes.
But I feel good about it. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Could I just give a more direct,
Please.
simple answer? I just wanted to point out, I mean, part of the thing about 2013 is that, I mean, the auditors were here today working on 2013 numbers, so we can't even start looking at what 2013
To do the financial statement.
looked like.
First, honestly, I didn't know the dates.
Right, no, I'm just trying to say.
It wasn't a ploy, I just really, I don't.
I believe March 14th is introduction, May something is,
I make my
Right.
tax.
Well, no, let me just say that this, you know, this is one of the things that coming from the Board of Ed always has confused me, is the fact that the Board of Ed has to have their budget in writing, submitted, signed off by the state 3 months before their fiscal year starts. The municipality, on the other hand, starts spending money and doesn't introduce their budget until 3 months in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But a lot of what you're talking about doesn't make sense.
Since you're the liaison, how does the school budget look? We got any idea how that?
They're working on theirs too. I mean, they're kind of in this, about the same situation we are. It's just that their fiscal year actually starts in June. So they're,
Okay, they got an extra couple months.
Yeah, exactly.
Being that is 53% of your tax bill,
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
being
you.
that is 53% of your tax bills, and you have such passion about your high taxes.
I got to go there too?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Miller. Just for the record, say your name and address.
Relax there, big guy.
You're up.
I understand.
You're telling me
Yeah,
to relax?
we'll leave it.
I don't want to hold
You're telling me to relax?
Yeah, yeah.
5 minutes. You up telling me to relax.
All right, here we go. Jack Miller, Revap.
Hello, Jack.
Couple questions. Good evening. I had a couple questions for the lawyer, but I'll get in touch with him and do what I need to do there with the information he gave me.
Yep.
Water bill means we're switching to this other company. Is my water bill going to go down?
Excuse me?
Is my water bill going to go down
That's-
every month?
That's our plan. We are going to see a 25% reduction in our cost for water.
Okay.
I would imagine that my plan is to give some relief to the users, sir.
Okay. Now, the money that we pay every month, that goes into,
In fees, you mean?
yes, that goes into the bucket,
Right.
or however you want to say it.
Right.
Of that money that all the residents pay, how much do we spend that 100% of that money is what I'm looking for? We put in 100, do we pay out 100 with salaries and everything else? Or is there surplus there at the end?
There's moderate surplus. There's a lot of surplus now in the utility because of Avalon Bay. Put it this way, prior to Avalon Bay, there was $300,000 in utility surplus over the course of its existence.
Do we use that for doing new mains and stuff like that?
If possibly, yes, or capital improvements or equipment has been used. Last year, we had $1 million because of Avalon Bay, more than $700,000. All of our capital improvements were paid for out of surplus.
Okay.
think we spent a couple hundred thousand on machinery.
But there could be surplus in there that could go to pay this stuff
But
down.
you can never go to zero. You can never, like you may then say, well, how can, divide that 300,000 against all the users and give me back my $20? You can't go to zero. You have to have some sort of surplus.
Okay.
Again, I don't mean to interrupt you. A lot of 25% reduction in water costs, yes. I don't see a reason if we can operate under the same standards to invest that back to return some or all to the users. But we go back all the time to the biggest portion of your quarterly utility bills, the sewer. Is the amount the borough pays in debt to the authority for the capacity purchase for all our time, and then save the town 53% of the space, and now we don't have any users splitting that bill except for 2,400 households. You do an analogy for to Butler, for example. Butler's utility bills are half of ours because they have double the amount of users on the system. Bloomingdale bought X as though we built out Bloomingdale, but then went saved half of Bloomingdale. So now you pay that bill. The only way to fix it, sell our capacity, because we have excess. If the economy rebounds and someone needs it, it's a great commodity. And two, add more users on the sewer side.
Okay. I'm just looking to see that if there's surplus there at the end, that you could use it for this stuff.
Certainly.
You know, I mean, I want some back in my pocket, but I mean, if it's gonna pay off what we're trying to do, we need to do it. As you said,
There's
I had a break by me that,
Again,
It's not less.
between
No,
the water,
not at all.
and the Avalon Bay addition of new fees, okay? About $340,000 new money coming into the utility by 2015, okay? If we commit $20,000 annually for that loan, now you have up to $320,000 in new revenue into the utility. That, like we did with the pilot, we would earmark that for debt reduction, rate stabilization, and capital improvements.
so you turn around and give that back.
In the form of rate reduction or
Okay.
stabilization, keyword. I'm never going to sit as a mayor and say I'm lowering your taxes.
No.
Our goal is to lower them,
But that would be
stabilize.
everybody's vote to do that stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, I mean, I don't speak for everyone, but that is our goal. We're going to stabilize, perfect world, lower, invest in capital, and reduce debt. Our debt in utility is about, what, 4 million?
Exact number, but
A lot.
it's a lot.
A lot. Okay. One other question I have. When it comes to liaisons,
Yes.
how does that work? Do you appoint the people, or do they volunteer? You know what I mean? Is it
The governing body,
Yes.
it's normally, we had a caucus and discussed who wants to serve where, and normally.
And the question I'm asking, because I kind of brings up a question in my head. I see my liaison is Councilman Costa.
Yeah.
And Councilwoman Hudson stood up here and was pretty outspoken about flooding with the Riverwalk. So I was kind of wondering why, you know what I mean?
I'm sure.
And not that I'm saying I want Councilwoman Hudson on there, I don't want
I don't want to
Councilman
speak
Costa.
for them. My comment will be that everyone's equally engaged in that process of making sure we achieve flood mitigation, number one. Number two, it was probably as simple as, Dawn had a lot,
It really did come down to we also try to split it evenly amongst ourselves.
If everyone wanted to do their favorite thing, Dawn might have 6 and Tony has 1.
Listen, I know everybody wants it and wants to fix it, I get it. I just hope, what just happened before, Mr. Yazdi, Mr. Miller, that wasn't a political thing that she was standing up here saying, flood, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I hope it's from the heart, that's all. I hope that's where it comes from.
Fact, you have to
I
say
think a
that.
lot of part of this too is
Discouraging,
going on the public safety thing.
Discouraging.
Why is that discouraging?
Our expertise with Dawn's past history of emergency services and
Right.
mine, we're on public safety. We
Oh,
kind
that's a good fit. No, listen, I wanted to know for me, if you appoint each one, or everybody has a thing and says,
No,
you know what, I'm good at it, I'm involved, Mr. Sonnemeyer, he's rec. I mean, that makes sense to do that.
And also, I also took on the Board of Health because of my healthcare experience, and
Okay,
I was on the Board of
understood.
Health and stuff. And again, I think, if I tried to take on too much, it would just simply be too much.
God bless you all.
I also think I was pretty adamant about the flood mitigation
Okay,
as well.
that's fine.
I'm very interested in that side of it, and I intend to help out as much as I can.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, as
Thanks.
always. Anyone else, please?
Linda Hayes, Sandy and Anthony. I wanted to find out why we didn't qualify for the 50% forgiveness for the water infrastructure.
All right, to date, I've been told that we were not considered a high priority in the DEP. I reached out to, her name escapes me, a woman, I reached out to her on Friday, have not heard back. As to what? To your exact question. What constitutes priorities? I don't know the answer to that yet. Other than we were not eligible for the DANO 50% because the DEP did not consider our projects as high on their high priority list. My gut feeling is high priority is the entities who apply for actual plant type things, like if you actually own your own water system, meaning like a Butler, or Passaic Valley Water. I think those are high priority. Because I said earlier, $50 billion is going to Newark to put a cover on their reservoir. So I don't know, that's my assumption, but I'll get you that answer once I know it.
Okay, I also want to know if you have looked at the amount of expenses that are being charged to the water department and considered adjusting them appropriately, because I don't believe, at least from my experience, that they are being charged correctly. There's a lot more salaries going to the water department than the amount of time that people are working on water department.
Again, I will state that there are absolutely justified expenses that could be billed to the utility for those non-utility workers who touch the department, such as finance and the like, and it will be looked at. I promise you. I know that is something Ray really wants to get a handle on.
Okay, you said that there was only $300,000 in water surplus, and you said that was for the life of the...
Well, that's what, before the Avalon Bay's deposit of...
Well, there was also $1.1 million in fees that were used previously to reduce municipal taxes.
Oh, when was that?
Right before I got on the council, that's when it stopped.
Yeah, okay.
Snow plowing, you're saying about taking care of the streets. They are terrible. I said at the meeting a couple weeks ago, I don't know what's going on, but for as long as I've lived here, this year has been terrible.
Yeah, let me address a few things. There's no difference in the operation. There's no difference. The same guys plowing the same roads. Believe it, there's no difference in the quantity of salt being put down. You look at the bills and the tonnage of, although I'm going to stay on the record, we are going to have a problem going forward because there's a statewide salt shortage. And I assure you that the tonnage and the amounts, it's all the same. I can only state that the difference is the coldness following storms. In the past, like today's a perfect example. We had that big storm yesterday. Everything by noon was blacktop because it got warm out and everything melted.
This morning it was not.
This morning it wasn't pretty.
But the county roads were clean, the other roads were
The
not.
county pre-treats with brine and also mixes liquid calcium chloride with their salt, night and day. I'm looking into it, but I think it's going to be too expensive for us to purchase an outfit all our trucks to do it.
Before,
Because we haven't had the
this storm
polar
was not,
vortex.
this storm wasn't that cold.
Right, and this morning, by 10 o'clock, the roads are blacktop, 100%
Well, my
blacktop.
sidewalks were clean by 4 o'clock yesterday, and they were black. They were
Your what?
My sidewalks.
Stop.
And I looked at the streets, and this morning they were terrible.
A lot of it is when you have a storm during the day, the snow just gets packed on. So they're just plowing and skimming on that layer of an inch of packed snow until it gets the warm and it gets mushy and slushy throughout the roads. Believe me, I drove around the Foreman today and looked at every single road and widened intersections and took that slush off Van Dam and the slush off Star Lake because it was messy. But no difference in operation. It's just the season we're having, especially with polar vortexes, we've snowed, salt doesn't work below 20, and it's been different than the past.
Well, let's go tomorrow. We have the snow and the ice.
I'm telling you,
I mean, no one's going to get
I'm
out.
this close to doing a public announcement, Facebook, website, and
Stay home.
and a reverse 911, because we are low on salt. We put it, January 21st, we ordered 300 tons, and have not received it. And we're not alone. Every town is out of salt. We sent 3 trucks. Mr. Fitzpatrick was kind enough, because he has bigger trucks than we do, go to Port Newark with ticket numbers from the co-op to fill those trucks and try to get us at least 150 ton. Turned away empty. No salt. I called the governor's office, the assembly, I have text on my phone, I can show you from Assemblyman off, trying to get us salt. Well, I spoke to every mayor around, trying to barter the county, nobody has it. We have enough to do tomorrow's storm. We ended up buying grit to mix, to try to extend it. Sunday's gonna be more of a problem. I'm confident we'll get through tomorrow, but I'm gonna do a reverse 911 that due to short of salt, you know, the cleanup may not be what we all desire because salt shortage. And then you can check those facts anywhere, any municipality. Although, for the record, which is burning my you-know-what, there's 800 tons at the DOTC caucus yard that was bought and stored for the Super Bowl that they are not dispersing.
When I go James next year, I'll have clean.
This will be Saltgate, right. So I'm sorry, so that's, yeah, but, you know, nothing's changed as far as operation, I just think the winter's been,
It's just,
it's different.
I mean, I've noticed it's just really been.
Do you agree, though, the cold after the storms has been more than any other year?
The last two maybe, this one no.
This one, no, but it was clear by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, people want to work before that.
Yeah. And I drove in your lake, excuse me, and that fire lane was definitely hot by the end of today.
Well, it wasn't hot.
But you, I mean, it's done.
But it was done since your home.
I know, I checked it.
Okay. Sorry. But you guys don't want salt in the lake, so you were snow covered.
That's me, I don't want
I'm
salt.
sorry to
I
try.
want salt.
I don't know if I'm the
So-
majority, but
Yeah. But people salt their driveway, that's kind of ironic.
I
No, in the lake, they don't want
So
salt.
I
They want
put my
salt in the
driveway,
driveway.
my sidewalks. Next question, what is the buffer supposed to be for Chilcon for their mining activities?
I'm sorry?
The buffer.
What is it supposed to be? Again, we're in such early stages, we don't even have their final drawings and plans. Last, I think it was 300 to 500 feet, something like that, but I don't have anything final, until they go to the planning board.
Oh, they go 300 to 500 feet.
Again, don't hold me to that, until they go to the planning board.
Well,
That's a
I-
conversation you'll have with the planning board,
Well,
but they go for zoning.
I'm just going to continue talking here.
Sure.
I was on Google Earth, and you're able to see where Chilcon is, what they're, how much they've already taken of their,
Right,
for
existing.
the quarry and our properties.
Right.
Well, I also know that there is a body of water on the top of the mountain,
Absolutely,
which they can't go near 300 feet either side.
absolutely. There's more than one. Very limited quarry they're going to be able to do because of wetlands.
So how are they going to be able to go 300, there is even 300 feet?
I don't know.
Well, they've already
I threw that
taken-
out there. Never seeing a map that had 300-foot buffers, but it means nothing until they're in front of the planning board requesting a zoning application. That's when everyone can come forward, see the pretty pictures, and decide what we're doing.
I'd also like to know why this council has decided that they will turn around and give up an ordinance that this town spent millions of dollars getting
What is that? What give up what?
to protect the federal hill. Because right now, under the previous ordinance, it was protected in perpetuity.
We haven't given up anything.
Well, if you change the ordinance,
We
you're
haven't done,
going to be giving that up.
haven't done anything. The first step is zoning. Put it this way, if Tilcon wants to buy Federal Hill, no one can stop them. Right? True or false?
So yes, that property's already zoned a certain way.
Correct. They want to buy it. Then, if they want to change that zone, they're going to come to the planning board for zoning. And ultimately, the governing body. So we'll see when we get there. We don't have the facts. We don't have all the details.
So is this governing body willing to give up what we had before? To have, say that property?
I'll speak
in
for myself.
perpetuity as
I'll
open
speak for
space?
myself. It depends on the plan. If there's a smart plan that still preserves a fair amount of the hill and the wetlands and whatnot, and in turn, the borough can realize the 40 acres in development rights and receive enough revenue from a sale on development to pay off all our debt and make Mr. Miller a very happy man, yes, I will support it.
And what are you going to, I heard some story that you're planning on redoing Main Street with this money that you're going to
No. My plan, if we were to actually get $12 to $60 million in the sale of this 40 acres, and it's interesting, I don't think that was ever in the newspaper.
I saw something in.
Well, either way, I'll address your question, it's interesting. I'll bring that back, I never said publicly. But my plan would be absolute debt reduction, absolute debt reduction. Absolute, in that case, you could comfortably say tax reduction. And I think if the profits are realized, to have the borough start its own public housing authority, make the investment in Main Street yourself, buy some of this rundown stuff on Main Street.
Something you said in Main?
No.
If you're going to buy it, you're going to.
Did I say eminent domain?
Well, you know, so, yeah.
Did I say eminent domain?
I asked, is that how you're going to?
The answer is no. you would go to people who you would hope would be willing sellers to buy some of these current housing with, like our master plan and the original vision plan, have retail with senior housing upstairs. And I think the only way you're going to achieve that, I've always said it, is with, I'm on the record saying, public money, you're never going to have enough public money to make that investment on Main Street. You're going to need the private sector to do it. Okay?
And that's what our ordinance that we already,
Okay.
vision that we
But
already
if
have.
this deal can bring enough public revenue to first pay debt, to first stabilize taxes or lower taxes, and as I stated, if there was enough funds, I'm talking a few $1 million, to make the investment ourselves in Main Street, I think is going to, the only way it's going to go will be the catalyst to start then private investment from occurring. No eminent domain. I think you can get willing sellers. It's a thought. It's a plan. It's a plan. It's a plan. A good plan. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but you blow that mountain, you know, like,
Well, if you put it so lovely as blow up the mountain.
well, that's what you're doing. I mean, you look, if you look
If you
at that.
properly, I'll put it, if you properly mine the mountain in a way to give the buffers, environmental sensitivity, but still bring revenue to the borough, it's a home run. Because again, I'll ask you, like I'll ask Mr. Miller every time I see him, what is your plan?
My plan is not to blow up a mountain that has already been preserved based upon an ordinance that was passed. And we spent over millions of dollars already on
I
it.
don't dismiss all that.
Well, that's my plan, so leave as is.
That's fine, and I support I appreciate your opinion, and I appreciate the environment. But we're at the point now, and I keep going back to Mr. Miller, you know, how do we do this? How do we pay the bills? How do we fix the infrastructure? How do we on and on? How do we stabilize taxes? The only way to do it is with revenue. And I'm sorry to say, Union Ave is our only remaining developable part of town.
Well,
So
don't
we
say
either
anything about Bloomingdale yet, that's already been.
but you know, making a house a doctor's office is not lowering our taxes.
No, I'm talking about
The horse shows in the Highlands. You said you spent millions of dollars preserving.
preserving what's already been preserved
Yeah.
based upon an ordinance.
The town spent $1 million preserving it. Exactly the reason our taxes are high, exactly
No,
the
they
reason our
put
utilities,
for housing by here.
exactly the reason utilities are high, because we also preserved McBride, we preserved the ball track, we preserved things Caragala, we preserved the horse run, we preserved, can I go on?
But you also know
That's why.
that there is housing that's been approved on that property already.
Right.
So
That's not going to bring the
way.
town, the type of use it's zoned for without the borough benefiting from the sale of it is not going to bring the tax relief, you know that. 360 straight for-sale condos, under straight taxes, non-pilot, is maybe going to bring the borough $250,000. Okay, Board of Ed, there 50%, so on. $250,000 isn't going to scratch the surface if it was just privately owned and built. The only thing that piques my interest is that we can benefit from the sale of the land. But it's early. It's early. We don't have anything from Telcon. They
Don't you have
are
to
hoping.
take, what if they give you a plan? I think that's what it said in the
Well,
paper, they gave you
But
a,
nothing's final. I mean, there's nothing that's final because we haven't finished our negotiation. If we're going to talk about what, like I know we talked about trying to secure some of the single-family lots on Van Dam, so there never would be access from that area to the property. A lot of nitty-gritty that I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks to sit down with them and the attorney and iron out that.
why are you negotiating it? This is supposed to be going through the planning
Well, no,
board.
but it has to go to planning board for zoning. For zoning.
And approval to do whatever, I mean, you're talking about,
Approval for zoning, no, planning board's just gonna approve zoning.
what are you gonna approve?
Well, again, if negotiation, if zoning takes place, how the borough can benefit through becoming the owner of the land to then sell as, you know, development rights, other parcels of land, you know, so entering into, you know, some financial agreement to decide the taxes. Is there gonna be a pilot?
Why would you be doing all that before it's approved?
It's called a negotiation. Why would I give anyone approval on zoning unless,
You don't give the initial approval. it's
why
not
would the
plan.
borough give any approval on zoning unless the negotiation was done?
So I do some numbers, you're telling me you're giving the approval. If you're gonna do all the negotiations, and then it's gonna go to the planning board, then I guess you're gonna notice, make sure the planning board does.
Absolutely, they're an autonomous board. They're gonna do their own
No, I've
thing.
heard that. Okay.
They're gonna do, well, proof is, I've supported Dunkin' Donuts, that didn't get approved. Anyone else? Seeing no one, motion to close? All in favor? Okay, thank you, everyone. We do have 2 matters of executive session. One attorney-kind privilege, one negotiation. If there's action, the public will have opportunity to comment. I do not believe there will be action. We will take a 5-minute recess before our second. Okay, we'll resume and open at 9:10 p.m. And I need a motion to approve an agreement between the borough and Cross River Fiber, as we discussed, using our right-of-ways for the purpose of owning, installing, operating, and maintaining telecommunication systems. The borough will receive $1,000 per year and assistance up to $750 if we needed an engineer or borough professional, such as an attorney, to in connection with this agreement. Resolution 2014-2.5. And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Other than I sincerely thank Fred, make sure you relay that for his work on this, because it came from a strong demand to something that's palatable and benefits the borough. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato. Del Rippe.
Abstain.
Hudson. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And now I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.